Hello, Dr. Powell. My name is Barrett Ray, and I will be discussing my experience at the SABR Analytics Baseball Conference. First off, want to thank you and everyone who helps in funding for this class and this program so we can learn more about sports and also for particularly this event, baseball and baseball analytics. My expectations for this conference were to learn more about how and where baseball analytics come about because we see and hear about them through games and through talk shows, but I wanted to get a deeper understanding for more of the analytics in baseball. So with that being said, my first the first session that I attended was the carrot and the stick cleaning up PED use in minor league baseball. And it was presented by Scott Brave and Levi Bognar. And basically, their presentation was about how can we clean up the PED use in minor league baseball because we know minor leaguers want to get to the MLB level where there's better pay and better accommodations than the minor leagues. And they use PED so they can speed along their process. And we know that this also can cause harm on the front office of baseball because now they're having to deal with a legal situation within baseball because PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, are not allowed. So they created a model to where if teams increase pay for minor league players, then they won't feel that they have to rush and use different factors like performance enhancing drugs to get to that level that they want to get to if we accommodate them better at those lower levels. And I really like this because me wanting to be a GM and me being a baseball fan, I hate seeing when players are caught with PEDs, and also being a GM, you don't want to have to deal with extra issues and added on legal issues with players, and now they have to sit out and everything like that. And you have to go through the whole legal process of getting them clean and getting them back so that you can progress them up and make money and get fans to buy tickets so they can see their favorite players. And so this session definitely opened my eyes to some new things. And I definitely want to see if there can be further stats and models to be able to see if we can help prevent PEDs from being used in the future by minor league players. And also, they did mention how the usage of it is declining because we are seeing things from the offices and the business side of these teams in the MLB and the players unions allowing for better accommodations for those players so that it can be an ease on them and also the front offices as well, since we're looking at this from a business perspective as well. The second session I attended was the regression based approach for predicting ground reaction forces in pitching. And so this was more player analytics and biometric based, but it also showed how if we can crack down on injuries using these studies and metrics and player movement analytics, we can cut down on pitching injuries as well. General managers pitch with when it comes to pitching, pitchers are very risky since arm injuries can take them out for a really long time. And when they do come back, you don't know if they will be at that same level. So that's why it is so risky for GMs to pay a pitcher so much money when there is that chance that we can see them go down with a Tommy John injury. And now it feels like we've lost money in that deal. And since all contracts in baseball are guaranteed, we're going to have to pay them anyway. And they're not even really out there performing and giving us anything back in return. So we're basically losing money. And so this presentation showed how we can help produce lower injuries for pitchers and allow them to be able to produce more since they will be healthy. There are some flaws within Tom Nyler's models that he used, but he does plan on improving them. And so it definitely opens my eyes to what else can we see, what else can we measure so that we can crack down on pitcher injuries because it is a growing trend that we are seeing that more pitchers are getting injured, especially when they're older, even though they're really good. and we try to give them the benefit of the doubt, seeing if they will come back being the same that they were, or at least a fraction of what they were, and then it ends up blowing up in general manager and teams' faces, which then makes them mad and then the owners mad since it's their money being pumped into this. The third session that I attended was bringing pitching plus to D3 Division 3 baseball and the art of war model. So this presentation was from two college students who they used to play baseball at the Division 3 level at St. Olaf College, but baseball wasn't really working out for them. So then they moved into the analytics side since they were kind of interested in that type of thing and being in computer science as well. And so we all know being at Southern, even though we're a Division 1 college at the athletic level, we don't really have a lot of the resources that LSU or Vanderbilt has when it comes to baseball and being able to have the technology. So, and the same goes for colleges at the Division 3 level. So, what they wanted to do was take their computer knowledge along with their baseball knowledge and be able to make their own data sets using their own pitchers so that they can have a fraction of that competitive advantage that a lot of the upper level schools have. And this was intriguing to me from a fan and a business student as well, because it shows how we can use analytics no matter what type of business you are, high level, small business, kind of in the middle, no matter where you are, as long as you have people with that knowledge of what you're doing and what you're involved in, and also being tech savvy, numbers, analytical based, and having some knowledge on that side, you can compete to an extent with these upper level companies, baseball programs, etc. And they also created a company based off this. So they turned this not only just for helping out their former teammates in their school, but also turning this into a business for other programs in the same situation as well. And this definitely opened my eyes to why don't we see more college programs doing this, especially like Southern, because we have smart students as well. And this could also help them into getting different experiences as well that will help them for their career paths as well. And this definitely gives me some ideas on how we on like stuff for me since I do want to work in baseball as well. And they also turn this into a business to where they also want to help other programs as well. Probably not while they're still with their schools, but probably down the road they do want to get more. So it is an interesting business that they made out of this, being that they come from limited resources. So I did definitely enjoy that. The fourth presentation session that I went to attended was the Kenny Lofton portfolio for the induction into the Hall of Fame. And this presentation was done by 4 high school students from Arizona where the conference was held. And I really saw this more as a marketing type of campaign because, to my surprise, Kenny Lofton isn't in the Hall of Fame. So they use different stats like WAR, defensive metrics, since Kenny Lofton's specialty was the defense, even though he was pretty good offensively. But they basically made a kind of like a Hall of Fame pitch to, to give him some credibility to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So they definitely use analytics to justify it because baseball fans kind of know that the Baseball Writers Association, they kind of like to hold true to different type of things, not analytically based. And so even though you had the analytics to back up a player, they definitely there's sometimes factors, maybe not on paper or in a stat box, that they use to hold guys back. And so Kenny Lofton was a good player, and so they tried marketing his way into the Hall of Fame using his stats. And I definitely liked it as well. And it also opened my eyes to how many more players can we use this for? Basically, kind of comparing them to their peers because they compare Kenny Lofton to a lot of other outfielders, and it is amazing to see how he compares to his peers. And I really enjoyed this since this brings a marketing aspect, in my opinion. And since we're in a marketing class, I definitely enjoyed it. And this is probably one of my favorite sessions that I attended. And finally, the last session that I attended was the baseball's current and future application of anti-panel. So we all know AI, artificial intelligence, is a big part of basically just life in general. Everyone using it, businesses, schools, you name it, they're using AI. And so baseball is trying to find that it's at least incorporating it into the game of baseball. We're seeing it used in the business side of baseball with stadiums incorporating AI. And so teams are trying to figure out how can we make AI and chat GPT specifically for us in our organization in our program, because every MLB team, they have a different culture, different coaches. Same like with businesses. Target does certain things, Walmart does other things. So you can really look at this more kind of like business wise, since even though players and coaches they were focused on winning the games, it also them winning games helps business wise as well. Because when they're winning, fans want to show up, engage, buy jerseys, merchandise, it the whole deal. And so they want to be able to incorporate AI to be team specific and trying to bridge that gap between people who are like fluent in AI and people who are fluent in baseball statistics and kind of bridge that gap. So three takeaways that I kind of gathered from this session, from these sessions, is the value of research and analysis in decision making. Because a lot of these presentations, they do dive in more into player base, winning and losing, how players can stay healthy. And I know it didn't really focus too much on business, but if you can understand, especially as a GM, how different things in baseball work, I do think you have an advantage. For me, as an MLB fan, I feel like, and one reason why I wanted to be a general manager was because I feel like a lot of these general managers, they don't have an understanding of the game of baseball. And I feel like if you have an understanding for what you're going into, I feel like you can make better decisions and do a better job. If you're if you put your focus in retail and you want to work at Walmart, I feel like that's a great thing because Walmart deals a lot in retail. So you'll be able to make different decisions and know what buttons to push so that you can make that franchise, that Walmart franchise, successful and boom. And I feel like it's the same way in baseball. If you understand some of the analytics and some of the research that goes into winning and losing and different things like that, you will be able to make better business decisions, who to sign, who to trade for, who to really go all in negotiating for. The second takeaway I learned from this is networking and learning from industry pioneers. And I feel like you definitely have some pioneers who presented at this conference. So being able to kind of hear from them and see what is being thrown around, I was definitely blown away by different type of presentations because I was expecting more so learning more about the different stats and statistics. And it feels like you have more people presenting new statistics and models that people like me and fans and people who have shows can use to be able to analyze, make decisions, have talking points, all that type of stuff, and to understand how the game can work and how to make things better for players and coaches and business as well. So The third takeaway that I got from this was the diverse backgrounds contributing to success in baseball. I mean, we have students from Division 3 levels trying to create their own like statistics company to compete with the ones we already know today, like TrackMan. If you're a baseball fan or someone who used to play baseball, you probably use these TrackMan, Blast Mobile, and so being able to see college, high school, I was expecting more so like just old men about 40, 50 years old talking about statistics and everything, but being able to see people like me in college or students in high school about to go to college, being able to contribute some stats and models, different analytics, it definitely opened my eyes to see how young people are starting analytically in baseball. And that concludes my presentation. Once again, thank you for this incredible opportunity. I definitely learned a lot. My eyes are definitely open, and I do want to explore some of these models and statistics more deeper. And with that being said, this concludes my presentation.